Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm Lukenessmonster. Today we have a super exciting video because we're going to be reviewing a holy grail set of mine. This is of course the Imperial Shadow Squadron 2-pack. This is a super expensive set on the aftermarket. Goes for about $200 and I got it for an amazing price, and I'm really excited to be opening it here and reviewing it for you guys. Of course, this set did come out in 2014 and is a part of the blue line packaging for the BlackSeries, so this one is definitely a throwback, but it looks amazing. We do have the Shadow Scout Trooper here on the speeder bike with the Shadow Stormtrooper. As you can see in like the back of the packaging, it has like the Death Star hangar bay here with the Millennium Falcon. Pretty cool looking backdrop for this. Not a whole lot going on with the side of the box, just a black screen, but the back of the box here is super cool. We've got this amazing like artwork of the Shadow Troopers. I love this artwork, it looks so cool. We also do have the bio, which I will actually read for this one. And it does say, Shadow Scouts ride speeder bikes on their covert missions. Commanders and troopers in this elite squadron wear specialized cloaking armor that makes them virtually invisible. Their speeder bikes have similar technology, making these troopers very successful at ambushing their targets. Very interesting bio. Not exactly sure what these are based off of. I know some people say they're based off of Battlefront, but that's definitely not true. Not sure if it's based off of like a comic book or some other novel or something, so let me know down in the comments if you know what these are based off of, or if this is Hasbro's just interpretation of making a cool black stormtrooper. But I am really loving this blue line packaging. Blue line, of course, because of the blue artwork here. But yeah, other than that, not a whole lot going on, so let's go ahead, get this set open, and take a close look at everything this thing has to offer. So we got the Shadow Squadron 2-pack out of the box, and I gotta say, this is a phenomenal looking set. The matte black on these troopers really set them apart. It's hard to see a lot of the detail on these guys from the video just because like the black just blends in all together, and it's hard to see the depth on the figure, but in person, there is so much detail and it looks really cool. First up, looking at the, I believe it's like the Stormtrooper Commander, or it might just be called the Shadow Stormtrooper. He does come with 3 weapons, the standard E11, as well as the like larger rifle here that has the strap, as well as the even bigger like shock trooper rifle. And I think this one looks really cool when you have the pauldron on him to also just like sling this gun across his back. I think it just adds like another level of badass to the figure, and it just looks really cool overall. This thing is really cool looking. Again, I love the black look all over it. The speeder is the same speeder we've seen a bunch of times already in the BlackSeries, just black this time, and I think the black really suits the set. It looks super cool. Like I said, because everything is pretty much a matte black, everything kind of blends in. But the Scout Trooper does kind of have like a navy blue / gray tone to his undersuit, so there's a little bit more depth on that figure, which I do kind of like. Right now, this guy is rubber banded down to the speeder, and I will take that off in a second to take a closer look at the speeder bike. But first, I do want to do some comparisons to some other speeder bikes we already have in the line before we get into that. Here we do have the 3 versions of the Biker Scout and Speeder Bike in the BlackSeries. First up, we have the Remnant one here from the Mandalorian on the left. This one has the white speeder bike, as well as the more like weathered Remnant Trooper on it. Very cool looking speeder. Of course, next to it is the Shadow Squad, looking great. And then we do have the classic Return of the Jedi speeder here as well. As far as the 3 of these compared to each other, I gotta say, I honestly think the Shadow Squadron looks the worst out of all of them. And that's just because, like I said, it kind of blends in all together because it's all black. The Mandalorian one here has a bunch of like scorching with the gray, and the tan one has some like metallic weathering on it as well. But the black one doesn't have any weathering or a ton of paint on it at all. And so it does give it a little bit of a sleeker design, which I really like. But compared to the other 2, it definitely doesn't stand out as much. And I gotta say, this stand for these older speeder bikes, they suck. They're like, they cannot stay balanced. Like the lightest thing will tip it over. It's very back heavy. The newer one here they have for the Remnant Scout Trooper is much better, and it does a much better job of actually supporting it. So hopefully if they do any future speeder bikes, they do it with this stand here rather than this like crappy Dorito triangle one. It genuinely sucks. We did get this Biker Scout off of the speeder bike though, and I gotta say, this one might be the coolest design we've ever gotten for a Biker Scout. That all black armor is just super clean. I love the slightly different color for the undersuit, just because it adds a little bit of depth to everything and a little bit more realism. And that's because I think if they made it the same color, it would have made it look cheap and unpainted, so the difference in the color does add a little bit of quality in my opinion. But I mean, just looking at this thing, it is super cool. I definitely like him with the big blaster as well. I obviously do have that scout pistol in there, which I'm going to keep rubber banded because if not, I'm going to lose that pistol. But I think he just looks super cool with the big blaster. But looking at these figures, I think it's pretty easy to tell that they have huge warping problems. Like, these figures are straight out of the box, and I know this guy has been mounted up on that speeder bike for nearly 10 years in that box, but his legs are so warped, and that's the exact same case for this Stormtrooper here. And that's just the flaw of these older Imperial bodies, is that they have the double jointed knees, and they bend and they warp, and over time they just look like he's got deformed legs, and it just looks super bad. And so I am really glad they moved away from those double jointed knees on some of the newer figures, but it just means super cool old figures like this suffer from that really crappy, like, warped knee look. Regardless though, these two figures are looking so good together. First up for comparisons, we're going to be looking at the Shadow Stormtrooper in the middle here, compared to the Force Unleashed Shadow Trooper on the left, and just the Sand Trooper on the right. I think all three of these troopers look great together. Again, the biggest problem is all the knees look wonky, they have horrible time standing up. You can tell that it's a 10-year-old mold. These figures are definitely dated because of that, but regardless, they look great here together. Next up, we have the Imperial Shadow Guard on the right, and just the Purge Trooper on the left. I wanted to get some more black Imperials in here, and all three of these are looking stellar together. So really, really love how all three of these look, and I think they should do more like Shadow Troopers in the future, because these like all black troopers look amazing. Here is the Shadow Trooper next to the standard Imperial Trooper, but on the newer body. And I gotta say, I do think that this newer body looks leaps and bounds better when it comes to proportionality of the actual like character, as well as just the sculpt. But I gotta say, I have to give the helmet mold to the old one every single time. This helmet looks so good, and the new ones just are always so warped and wonky. They will never beat the older helmets, and that's a big problem. And the only flaw really that's holding back that 2020 Stormtrooper. The next up for comparisons, we have to compare the Shadow Scout Trooper here next to some of the other Scout Troopers. So on the left, we have the standard Return of the Jedi Scout Trooper, a classic look, and I do love the weathered boots on that one. And on the right, we have the Jedi Fallen Order Riot Scout Trooper, and all three of these are looking, again, really good together. The Scout Trooper is one of my favorite designs for a Stormtrooper of all time, and so getting all of the Scout Troopers now in my possession is really cool to have. I also did want to show off the Remnant Scout Trooper here on the right. One of my favorite figures in the entire collection. Love the weathering on this one. And again, it really just shows off how good this Scout Trooper body is 10 years later. So yeah, this one was a holy grail set of mine, so really excited to finally have this one in my collection. I think these figures look amazing. I love the all matte black looks. The idea of like an all black Stormtrooper is just cool, and it's nice to finally have one in my collection. Obviously, these figures do have some flaws because they're 10 years old and they're on older bodies. But regardless, I still absolutely love this set, and I'm so happy to have it in my collection. So if you guys did enjoy, hit the like button, subscribe, and if you want to see some reviews of some older sets like this, let me know down in the comments because I'd love to do more. Anyway though, that is going to do it for this video, so I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you so much for watching.